Hey, what's up? Dave with Brazos Barbell, and today we're going to be talking about one of my cues and one of the biggest cues that I've used recently to get myself back to a position where I feel like I'm confident with my deadlift again. And actually, this is just going to be a reiteration of a lot of the things that I said in my anchoring deadlift video. So if you haven't seen that one, that's one of my most popular videos that I have on YouTube. I think a lot of people got a lot of help from that. So I'm going to say a lot of the things that I said in that one, but in maybe a slightly different way. So the main thing that I want to say today is just about how to use your legs and how to cue your quads to find an appropriate hip height for you to start from. So this, I think, sometimes gets put backwards. I think people are so intent when they're deadlifting, sumo in particular, trying to get as upright as possible that they end up getting their hips way too low and getting too much of a bend in their knees. And I think if we reverse those, if we say that I want to find tension in my quads first before I pull into the bar, that I'll actually end up being a whole lot more successful. And the goal will be to actually start with as much of an upright trunk as possible, but still with your hips being as high as possible within that too. So what we're trying to do with that is we're trying to create less work for your quads while still using them appropriately and still getting the most out of them. So we're going to go into a lot of the videos. We're going to just use a deadlift session I did from this week. Actually, it's my first deadlift session back after the meet. And I'm feeling pretty confident with my technique heading into nationals. And so the main cue that I'm going to be using is just going to be legs and chest. So we'll talk about the chest part. Actually, the main, a lot of what I talk about in this, again, will just be some from the anchoring. I'm going to focus a lot more on the legs aspect of this and quads than I am about the chest part of it. But it's going to be about pushing the floor and then pulling your chest through. So we'll look at a lot of the videos to help explain that. Okay, so during my setup, one of the main things I'm trying to do during the early phases before I grab the bar is try to find the highest position that I can be and still reach the bar. So during this phase, I'm really pushing with my legs and trying to find that hip height, and I usually stop with my fingertips touching just above the barbell. So from there, I can create that extra distance by reaching for the bar during the rest of it, but I'm still going to be really pushing with my legs and then create a little extra length with my upper back, and that will help me lock in my upper back by trying to pull my chest through. But mostly we just want to talk about the legs. So right here, I'm pushing down into the floor, trying to spread the floor. That cue works well if I'm just trying to think about what kind of pressure I want to create with my quads. I don't like thinking about my feet. I'm just using the spread the floor to start feeling my legs. So I use that tension in my legs to not let me get too low. So from the front angle here, we can see what's really happening. In this portion, my feet are pushing out, but I'm really just trying to feel quads. So letting my arms hang long, we can see that they're stopping just above the barbell. So I want to replicate what I just did, reach for the bar, and then I'm just feeling my quads again to finish the pull. So if you watch the anchoring video, we'll see about how the legs are kind of taking the legs out of the equation. The cues with the legs are just trying to get that portion to be stabilized so I can make that rock solid and then just pull through with my chest. So from the side angle, we can see some of those things happening where I'm just, during that initial setup, I'm thinking about pushing and pushing and pushing. And I'll know if I'm getting my hips too low because I'll feel a whole lot in my legs. It'll be hard for me to get too low because I'm pushing. So I'm resisting the movement of what I'm doing. Now, I can make this look pretty upright because my arms are as long as they are, but I think these cues are still the right cues regardless of your arm length. So you just may need to end up with your hips a little bit further back in that starting position, but you should still be cueing legs into the floor and then pulling your chest through. So last two videos here from the front, with these working sets, we can see how I try to replicate that every time. And we'll see in between individual reps that I'm pushing hard into the floor, which will bring my hips up, and then I try to keep that pressure in my quads as I pull my chest through to find that higher hip position. So we can see the angle that's created from my knee to my hip here at that starting position. I'm not trying to get that too low, and that's the main purpose of this video, is I'm trying to keep my hips relatively high while trying to get my chest up, and that will allow you to utilize your legs appropriately. If I get my legs too low, which we'll see in this side video on the next one, then it's really going to create problems, and generally people get pulled forward out of position, or the bar just never gets off the floor. So we can see from the side angle, we'll go through the whole setup, how I'm pushing into the floor during this portion, right? And I'm setting my hips back when I actually grab the bar, and that's allowing me space to push hard into the floor. So shorter arm people may need to get back a little bit more, but so from here we're reaching for the bar, long arms. I'll push with my legs and pull my chest through, but we'll see that my hips are not really low, and I'm still able to get a nice upright trunk angle to finish the pull. So legs hard into the floor, long arms, and then it all ends up looking really pretty, and my hips don't get, the main thing is my hips are well above my knees. If it looks like your hips are getting down close to the top of your knee, maybe like it would during a squat, that's a really bad position to be in for a deadlift. So long arms end up being a little bit more upright. Shorter arms need to be hips back a little bit more, but the same cues still apply about pushing down into the floor and then pulling chest through. So thanks a lot for watching. If that video was helpful, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.